Hey, what's up? Welcome back, YouTube. Thanks so much again for stopping by. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for clicking on the video. I want to first thank all you guys who watched my last video. Sorry we didn't get this one out sooner, IRL, you know. But anyways, at any rate, the patch notes dropped early for Verdansk, which is coming at this point now in 2 days on April 3rd, Thursday. We're getting real excited for that. So we're going to run through these as quickly as we can. Just kind of touch base on it, on everything. Not go into too much detail because this is a lot. It's going to be a long video. So I want to apologize in advance for that. And thank you so much for checking it out. If you do enjoy this content, please don't forget to smash the like button and hit subscribe. Let's get into it. All right, here we go, chat. So starting off, the update dropped yesterday. They touched base here a little bit on the Ricochet anti-cheat update, which we already looked at that information and went over that in our last video. You can please go check that out if you want to look further into that. But it's basically just a link here to that blog. We get our look at the Battle Pass rewards here. We have our returning operator, Mace and Hudson. These are all the different skin variants that you get in the Battle Pass, which, if you're into that type of thing, I don't buy the black cell, but these do look kind of good, actually. They look cool. I won't lie. We're still rolling with the black and gold thing. I don't know why we're so headstrong into that, but okay, right here, starting off covering the updates coming to Verdansk on Thursday. Memories are a powerful tool, and even the departed can change the course of history. The road back to Verdansk involves unlocking some core memories, as well as some unforgettable weaponry and new operators. A flashback to Agent Jason Hudson, bringing echoes of the frontline savvy. Hudson's an unlockable while progressing with the Battle Pass. Joining him is Mace, the metal-faced mercenary who will bring the war anywhere, anytime, for anyone. Unlocked instantly upon Battle Pass purchase. The Season 3 Battle Pass includes over 110 pieces of unlockable content, excluding Black Cell, including free earnable armaments, 2 new base weapons, the monolithic suppressor attachment, and more. Check out the Black Cell, Battle Pass, and store bundles blog prior to Season 3 launch for a closer look at what's coming. Okay, so, they're your typical marketing fare. Yo, new subscriber, Cherry Sapphires, welcome in, welcome in. Appreciate you for subscribing to the channel. Let's go. Hey, the producer stepped in for a minute there, so I apologize. Okay, so talking more on console crossplay, which came into play last season with ranked play. Basically, they're keeping those options available for ranked play in both multiplayer and Warzone, and then looks like they added the option for public matches in multiplayer. So in Season 3, we're giving console players more granular options by separating the multiplayer ranked play and Call of Duty Warzone ranked play settings and adding a new multiplayer-only setting for quick play featured in party game matches. Each of these 3 settings, multiplayer ranked play, Warzone ranked play, and multiplayer unranked, will include the following options. On, which enables matchmaking with all gaming platforms when selected. On consoles only, which enables matchmaking for only consoles, PlayStation and Xbox. Of course, may negatively impact your matchmaking queue times. And off, restricts matchmaking to your current gaming platform only, will negatively impact matchmaking queue times. Additional details on how these settings interact with party members to our different platforms. I'm not going to read all this, but basically it goes over all the different scenarios you might have when you're in a party with someone who has a certain setting off, and depending on who's the host. But we have console-only options. Looks like they're expanding on that a little bit. It's yet to see if that's a good thing or a bad thing. With some of the Ricochet anti-cheat news, this might be something that's really not all that important, but I'm glad they left it as an option. We're getting updates to some UI and stuff, particularly with PC. Some issues with just communicating effectively there when the game is preloading shaders and PC benchmark tools. They are bringing back the weapon and blueprint customization. You're now able to customize any Black Ops 6 base weapon or weapon blueprint with the skin you've unlocked or purchased across multiplayer, zombies, Call of Duty Warzone. So basically, if you have skins or blueprints available to you for a gun and you have multiples on certain attachments, you can, again, mix and match parts and kind of customize and make the weapon look how you want it to look. Hopefully, all the bugs are resolved with loadouts and blueprints and things like that, and that doesn't cause any further issues. I think that was part of the problem before, so it looks like that's coming back. That's good. There's, of course, Black Cell daily challenges for additional XP to earn in the Black Cell. Here's the roadmap for Season 3, which we haven't really looked at yet, but we've got, of course, the Verdansk coming back for Warzone. Here's all the modes that are going to be available to us. Of course, we'll have Battle Royale solos, duos, trios, and quads. I think they talk about that here later. We've got Rebirth, Resurgence coming back in a few days. Plunder, ranked play in season. The High Trip event is coming back to Verdansk, or Rebirth. So we'll see that. That one I didn't actually get to play when it was around last time, but apparently it was very popular. People liked it. It was very fun. And then, of course, the new Battle Royale casual mode. All these updates and stuff, we're going to go over that in these patch notes here coming to the game. So we got the Return to Verdansk free event starting on Thursday with some cosmetics and unlocks that you can earn by playing some original Milsim skins from the original Warzone. The Kilo will be unlockable tomorrow in the Black Ops 6 free play on April 2nd. Parachute and some customizable contrails for your deployment. Okay, so welcome back to Verdansk. Celebrate Verdansk's return by logging into Call of Duty Warzone from April 3rd to 15th to earn up to 20 rewards, including 6 instant unlocks and the Kali Sticks melee weapon. Open safes in various locations to secure rewards, such as the exclusive Trailblazer operator skin for Kane. You may even get especially lucky during your search. Be sure to log in to instantly unlock the Kilo 141 and 2 operator skins. Original Verdansk veterans also get bonus items, the Blue Legacy contrails, Coming Home parachute, and Like We Never Left gun screen. It's pretty exciting. I'm not going to lie. I'm trying to keep my expectations tempered, but I am pretty hype for this. This is going to be this could be put Call of Duty back on the map in a sense. All right, so welcome home. Verdansk has returned, the map that started it all in Call of Duty Warzone, including a breadth of classic and memorable features that naturally come with it. Below is a recap of some of the improvements made to Verdansk that players can expect to see as outlined in the Return to Verdansk blog. So trees slightly repositioned from the original map. Non-drivable vehicles clearly marked as smoldering wreckage. Swimming now possible on the southern coastline only, and apparently not really designed or set to impact gameplay. But it is an option now to get around that southern coast area. Improved traversal in steep areas, new goat trails added. Shorter telephone electrical poles for easier parachute landings, additional ladders and adjusted paths to rooftops for better accessibility. Doors are now double hinged, allowing barging and shooting or blowing open and closed from either side. Ascenders returning mid-season, already available in Plunder, updated to a faster L-shape design for increased fluidity, speed when getting on and off. That's what we have currently now. So they're just basically saying they're not going back to the old Ascenders they used to use. We're saying with the ones we have now, and they will be more prevalent on the map in season. Although I do believe, and I could be wrong about this, but I do believe there's supposed to be a few on stadium roof right now at the beginning, but maybe not. I'm not 100% sure about that. So enhanced exterior lighting, improved visibility and reduced glare. Interior lighting adjusted to reduce hiding spots, especially against dark corners. Added detail enhancements such as extra debris and scenery around fire stations and riverbanks. And for console players, the ability to view Verdansk in up to 120 FOV for the first time. So Verdansk in 120 FOV for you console players out there for the first time. That's actually pretty exciting. You can get a full breakdown of that in the TAC Atlas guide here. There's a link to the more detailed map information and info. All right, so the original Gulag from 2020 is back with all 3 variants included. The Gulag Showers. Also a return of the Gulag Overtime Capture the Flag mode. You guys remember when we had 2v2 Gulag and a Juggernaut AI in Al Mazrah? Holy crap, man. Who thought that was a good idea? Returning shortly after the drop of Season 3, Rebirth Island will be back for Resurgence quads. There has been talk about there being a Resurgence mode cut out of the Verdansk map too on a smaller portion, so we haven't heard anything else really about that yet. But all right, here we go. Battle Royale Casual at launch. Battle Royale experience is branching out with the introduction of a new mode featuring bot players, designed as a stepping stone for players to go from the Warzone boot camp to an experience closer to our traditional player mode experience. Player-only experience, Players can learn the game and hone their skills in a lower stress environment while still embracing the core survival challenge of being the last squad standing among 148 players. So we talked about this some, 28 players, 120 bots. It's a larger boot camp mode. I'm excited to check that out. It could be fun for making some content. It could be nice to just casually get on and vibe out with your friends after work. We'll see. Again, the High Trip event's coming back. So Battle Royale at launch. Solos, duos, trios, and quads. 150 players on Verdansk. Plunder at launch. Warzone Bootcamp still a thing at launch with 20 players, 24 bots. So sort of the mini Royale training mode. And then again, Rebirth, Resurgence in the launch window. They really want you to understand that they're not doing anything with Resurgence. That Rebirth Island isn't going anywhere for everyone out there who loves that. Here's our weekly playlist from April 3rd to the 10th. Again, everything that we just went over. Okay, so ranked play. More information will be coming on this, I'm sure, but ranked play will be offline during the first half of the season. They're doing a complete reset and restart of the ranked play modes for Warzone coming at Season 3 Reloaded, I believe. Of course, multiplayer ranks will be live at the start of Season 3, as I understand it. So again, Classic Battle Royale, 150 players, 152 in the quads list. Okay, we're going back to old school Warzone. Right here, something I'm excited about the return of, man. I know some people hate this, but I thought it added such a unique gameplay element to Warzone. Free fall shooting. You can now again pull your pistol out while infilling and fight in the skies. If you do not have a secondary weapon equipped, you will default to your backup pistol. It says here, we're restoring some of the early game intensity that keeps you on your toes immediately leaving the infill plane and enables more of a response during a free fall. Okay, so this is another great one. Players can now rotate their view 360 degrees while reviving a squad mate instead of being fixed on their squad mate's down position, giving the perfect opportunity to call out if your squad mate's being pushed by an enemy as they revive you. They are changing the in-game circle pacing. So the gas circle pacing is faithful to the original timings of the gas closing, as well as the circle size and movement. This means that Battle Royale matches will run longer to create a more well-defined initial looting phase. So basically they're going to, excuse me, longer zones in the first and second, first few circles, just as Warzone was in the beginning. Excuse me. We've some good memories of games ending in the woods above Quarry or in the deep forest on the east or west of Verdansk. And this change to circle logic brings back those possible end games. Be warned, this does mean that the circle can move very quickly if you are caught deep outside when the gas starts to move. Respect the circle, and you'll stay alive. Map assets, mini models, and textures found across Verdansk now feature classic aesthetics, including but not limited to armor plates, armor satchels, buy stations, and contracts. So they're returning to some of the graphics that were used in the original Warzone. Ascenders on Verdansk. To bring back the classic feel of Verdansk, external ascenders have been disabled at launch but are scheduled to return in the mid-season. Internal ascenders within elevator shafts remain operational. So I saw something online. People were mixed about this. Some people are absolutely angry about this. Like, why would they take it away just to bring it back? I think they want to see just how far, they're taking us back, all the way back to OG Warzone as close as they can get. And they want you to see just how far we have come, how far things have changed and improved. So I'm all for it. It's going to mix up and change the gameplay, especially through this launch. So, okay, adjustments to Gulag loadouts. Loadouts within the Gulag have been reworked to improve variety and balancing. These loadouts will change as the game progresses, allowing players the return to the field victorious to do so with a competitive weapon in hand for a better chance at recovery. Here are your Gulag loadouts throughout the different circles. You can go and check these out on the website. Okay, so infill and backup pistol players will now infill and spawn with the 9mm PM, replacing the GS-45. Late game redeployments will now spawn players closer to the ground, reducing the need to hover while positioning during final circles. This system has not been turned on since BO6 launched. Player respawn angles. Players will now respawn looking approximately 30 degrees downward instead of directly out at the horizon, providing a clearer view of potential landing areas. This adjustment aligns with natural player behavior when scouting landing spots. Unsuppressed red dot distance. The distance at which unsuppressed weapons display a red dot has been reduced in Resurgence to better align with the map size. So reduced to 112.5 meters, down from 250. Unsuppressed red dots are core to the Call of Duty Warzone experience, and while developing Verdansk, we took great care in evaluating the strength of red dots on each map, which previously was a static value regardless of play space. While reviewing these values, we felt that given the vastly smaller map size of Rebirth Island, the red dots should be better aligned to the small map experience. These adjustments are based on both player feedback and our design goals, ensuring that visibility of unsuppressed gunfire matches the intended combat dynamics for each map. So basically, they're shrinking how far effective pinging on the map is when you fire an unsuppressed weapon on Rebirth because the map's so small. And I'll be interested to see how that affects the gameplay on Rebirth. All right, so we've already talked about this. Again, floating loot is back along with the old school outlines. The return of floating loot is the foundation of many improvements we're making to loot interaction this season. Floating loot by itself will improve your ability to pick up or simply notice important items when at a distance. Adjustments. Okay, so these are the changes coming, what to expect with loot in general. The return of Verdansk comes with refinements to the Battle Royale's loot philosophy that brings us back to its roots. Life is valuable. Adaptability is key. Great loot must be earned, and contracts are central to earning cash. In order to create more intentionality around looting, the various sources of loot have been adjusted to be more reminiscent of the classic Verdansk days with some improvements. Ground loot refresh. Common to epic weapons now sport a selection of random attachments that align with the weapon's natural strengths. Legendary weapons come with a variety of fixed builds tailored to specific roles that are randomly selected match over match. This change aims to maintain the excitement of random loot while preserving the reliability of weapon performance. Looting in recent years has become a little too static. A blue tier weapon often providing the most valuable attachments and devaluing an epic or legendary find. This change aims to bring some different outcomes in the more commonly found weapons and makes legendary weapons highly sought after. High value loot zones this season, HVLZs, remain consistent every match, allowing players to reliably identify a hospital, military base, and superstore as POIs, with enhanced ground loot and an increased number of supply boxes. Further enhancements to this feature will be added in future updates. Okay, so supply boxes. You have your basic boxes, provide consistent cash rewards that average to high quality weapons, occasionally offering premium equipment such as legendary weapons, kill streaks, and gas masks. Legendary supply boxes have received significant upgrades for a more rewarding experience. These boxes guarantee top tier weapons and some of the best loot available, with increased chances of obtaining substantial cash. Reusable. These boxes replenish every 90 seconds, serving as an ideal means for players to regain strength in the mid to late stages of a match, particularly after returning from the gulag or redeployment. They supply players with a viable weapon, an armor plate, and some cash to quickly return to combat readiness. Duffel bags, medical cabinets, and weapon lockers have been removed to better service this classic feeling of Verdansk. Second chance mechanics. The following items have been removed from the loot pool: gulag tokens, reinforcement flares, redeploy tokens. The only available method to return after death: gulag victories, buy station buybacks, and jailbreak public events. Self-revive kits can only be acquired via the following sources: legendary supply boxes, a random drop; scavenger contracts, a random drop; at the buy station for 4K, or a fire sale for free. Your life matters. In returning back to the classic feeling of Verdansk, we're going back to a simpler set of second chance mechanics that are faithful to the original Battle Royale experience. I love it. I love it. I love it. Make Battle Royale feel intense again. Okay, so death tax. Cash dropped upon death has been adjusted to assist players returning from the gulag, providing them with a larger portion of their previous cash balance for mid to late game recovery. 50% of the cash balance will drop on the ground. 50% will remain with the eliminated player, up from 20%. Previously, 50% of the cash balance dropped on the ground, with players keeping 20 and 30% being entirely removed from the economy. After months of playtesting, we noted that regain in the mid to late game was almost impossible. Yes. So the design intent of this is to better allow players to redeploy with a little more cash to give them a slight leg up when it comes to getting back into the flow of the game. Okay, loot angle. This is a huge quality of life adjustment here. Interactions now require more precise aiming to reduce accidental item pickups, resolving most unintended looting situations, such as inadvertently picking up items during a reload. Rarity outlines are now gradually fade into view only when players are within a logical proximity rather than remaining visible at all distances. Loot card positioning. Loot cards are now centered over items to improve readability, particularly combined with floating loot. Loot cards remain at a fixed height rather than moving with the player's view. Loot cards are hidden when players sprint, dive, slide, or use lethals, tacticals, or field upgrades. Loot cards now have contextual prompts. For example, if the player has an empty weapon slot, a weapon loot card prompt will display equip. But if the player has two weapons equipped, the prompt will display swap. So basically, the loot cards are going to be up, so we're not running around looking at our feet while trying to find items in a wild gunfight. All right, return to the classic buy station style, vertical buy station. You have your list of things you can purchase over here, with also the icon showing the items. And then on the right-hand side will be your squad redeploy information. The vertical list is back. The buy station interface has been streamlined, returning to a vertical list layout to more clearly display purchasable items and teammates eligible for redeployment. The left side of the buy station now clearly shows all gear available for purchase, including equipment, kill streaks, and field upgrades. The right side of the interface will display teammates who have been eliminated and are eligible for buyback, provided they are not currently awaiting a gulag battle. Importantly, controller players can still press up to access the loadout drop marker in one button press, as we wanted to retain the carousel interface to allow for quick access to items further down the list. To enhance navigation, efficiency, and emphasize loadout acquisition, individual weapon purchases have been removed. So you can no longer buy your weapons at the buy station. I also don't hate that. Like, it puts more emphasis on ground loot and more emphasis on working together to obtain cash to get a loadout. Our aim is to recapture the classic battle royale feel reminiscent of playing on Verdansk 5 years ago. Adjustments to the buy station reflect this vision, featuring a reduced selection of purchasable items and updated prices aligned with the game's new economic balance. We intend for players to experience an economy more akin to Call of Duty Warzone in 2020, where strategic cash management becomes essential to gameplay decisions. New redeploy all button. We've introduced a single button shortcut at buy stations, allowing players to redeploy all teammates simultaneously. Although the redeploy all button is executed with one button press, individual flares and sound effects will trigger for each teammate redeployed, alerting nearby enemies to the total number of returning players. In scenarios where insufficient funds prevent buying back the entire squad, the redeploy all feature will prioritize teammates carrying the highest cash amounts. We recognize the urgency of quickly redeploying teammates under pressure, especially when attempting hero plays amidst heavy combat. After careful consideration, we determined that prioritizing teammates with the highest cash aligns most closely with the most prominent behavior that we've observed. Item icons. Each entry in the vertical buy station now shows the icon of its respective item. We talked about that. Item counts. Players can easily see how many of an item they already own while in the buy station before making a decision on what to purchase. Category subheaders. We appreciate that for new players, being able to see the equipment category like kill streak or field upgrade is helpful to know what item slot will be equipped or swapped with an item's purchase. So buy station adjustments, the spawn locations will be the same exact 30 static locations across every match, at least at launch. Inventory pricing. We have updated the prices of various items in the buy station as follows. Armor plate, $300. Cluster strike, $3,000. Precision, $5K. UAV, $6K. Gas mask, $3K. Self-revive, $4,000. Munitions box, $2,500. Armor box, $4,000. We're going to talk about that again later. Loadout marker. Solos is $6K. And for duos, trios, and quads, it is $10K now for a loadout drop. So they're making loadouts much more affordable, but we'll see how that works with the cash flow in the new update. Squad mate redeploy is $4K each. The interact angle of the buy station can now be accessed from any angle, including behind it, providing increased flexibility during tense engagement. So no more of that 180 degree, you got to be in the front of it or on the side. You can approach the buy station from any angle. So that's a huge win. That's a great adjustment. So here are some changes that have the community in an uproar. And I'm not really sure. I misunderstood or misread this the first time they talked about it a few days ago or last week. I don't really know what the goal of this is or what it means for Warzone, but we'll read it here, and I guess we'll leave it to all of us and all of you to decide if you like it or not. You know, let me know in the comments what you think of these changes. Are you excited? Do you think this matters? Where do you stand? So the introduction of Black Ops 6's Omni movement system revolutionized gameplay and has become the foundation of player movement in Call of Duty Warzone. While the system launched with multiplayer-inspired values, we've recognized the need for adjustments to better align movement dynamics with the unique demands of Call of Duty Warzone's limited life modes. Season 3 focuses on fine-tuning the Black Ops 6 player movement by ensuring a balance between fluidity and responsiveness. The adjustments to the movement mechanics are as follows. Crouch movement speed reduced by 10%. Crouch to stand speed increased by 15%. Crouch to stand speed while ADS increased by 39%. Prone movement speed reduced by 5%. Sprint movement speed reduced by 4.9%. Directional sprint animation blend speeds increased for improved fluidity. These values bring Call of Duty Warzone's movement speeds closer to the spirit of the original experience while still preserving the fluidity of Black Ops 6. We encourage players to go hands-on with these fine-tuned changes as they can be hard to express in patch notes. The proof is in the pudding. I liked Omni movement. I haven't had an issue with it. I know some people have complained, but I don't know that slowing it down was what anyone was complaining about. It was more so the floatiness of it, feeling like you were on ice. Jump cooldown. Reduce the cooldown by 40% for improved responsiveness during repeated jumps. Possible bunny hopping coming back, but we'll see if the change actually creates the bunny hopping that we know and remember from the MW19 era. At any rate, it should make jumping more responsive some. Okay, Omni Sprint side and back speed scaling reduced by 8.5% to better balance strafe movement. So basically, I think they're just slowing down the backwards and side to side movement and Omni movement to balance some of that a little bit, because everyone could just move in any direction at breakneck speed. Slide friction increased 4% to reduce overly slippery engagements. And basically, people were sliding for indefinite amounts of space and all over the place on roller skates. So trying to rein that in some. These adjustments address the dominant power of strafe engagements while maintaining fluidity for mechanics such as sprinting, strafe reloading, and general navigation. Responsiveness across movement systems have been improved to ensure smoother gameplay while striking a better balance for Call of Duty Warzone's fast-paced encounters. This will bring back the feeling of classic Warzone experience that we all know and love. This is a lot to read, man. I'm tired. I'm sleepy already. Contracts. Return to classic contracts. Recon contract is back, replacing the Intel contract with a 4-minute time frame to capture a designated domination point. Rewards for completion include cash and a preview of the next circle. Supply run. The much-loved supply run contract returns. Players have 2 minutes to reach a designated buy station to earn rewards, which include cash, a single item fire cell for each squad member at the targeted buy station. Supply run contracts will not appear on the map until the first circle has fully collapsed. With the return of the supply contract, we want to make sure that its return fits within the gameplay loop and the economy. This adjustment to be available from the second circle onward allows for the contract to be more centered around travel and vehicles, which in playtesting we have found to be more fun and engaging contract experience. Contract multiplier is back. So returning from the Verdansk era, the contract multiplier enhances cash rewards as players complete more contracts. Each contract completed now grants a 30% plus cash bonus, stacking up to a maximum of 150% additional cash rewards in both Battle Royale and Resurgence. Stacking up on completed contracts in the early game is a great way to improve your chances if you need a mid to late game regain, as the multiplier will carry throughout the entire game to give greater financial rewards later on. Tablet models are back for contracts, so no more of the little cell phones sitting on shelves at the bottom where you have to lay down and turn your head just right and hold your tongue a certain way and hope that your model can render a pickup of said contract. So the classic tablet models for contracts are back to look more like the original Warzone. Again, here are your contracts. We're going to have Bounty, Most Wanted, Recon, Scavenger, and Supply Run. Well, we will not have, for the time being, Big Game Bounty, Signal Intelligence, or Spy Drones. Spawn rebalancing. Contract spawn rates have been adjusted throughout the Battle Royale base to enhance distribution and improve overall gameplay balance. Payout updates. Contract payouts have been updated to align more closely with values reminiscent of the Verdansk era, although not exactly matching them. Supply Run and Recon contract payouts are now standardized to match the Scavenger contract values in both Battle Royale and Resurgence modes. Completing a Most Wanted contract no longer results in a supply cash drop. Plunder-specific contract payouts have been adjusted for consistency across modes. Recon contract progress added upward arrows indicating how much faster a Recon contract is being captured by your team, depending on how many players are on the target location assisting with the capture. All right, so public events. The ones that we will have initially will be Fire Sale, Jailbreak, Loadout Drops, and Restock. Disabled, Flyby, Cash Drop, Contractor, Rogue Signal, Runaway Train, and Recon Flyover. So just the basic public events there. So here are the adjustments to equipment. Back again is Thermite. Thermite returns a specialized anti-vehicle and area denial tool, echoing its original use in Verdansk. Unlike previous versions, Thermite no longer guarantees a kill upon sticking an opponent. It will, however, deal sufficient damage to down players with 2 armor plates or less. Thermite now instantly explodes vehicles if their health reaches 0 from its damage tick, similar to C4. Unlockable via the Black Ops Tribute event. The following is an outline of the full arsenal of lethal and tactical equipment, including how to acquire them across the match in Battle Royale on Verdansk. The lethals that we will have available to us in the map loot: C4, Frag Grenade, Molotov, Syntex Grenade, Spring Mine, Thermite, Throwing Knife. Only available through customizable loadouts: Blast Traps, Combat Axe, Drill Charge, Impact Grenade, and Thermo Grenade. Tacticals available on map loot: concussion grenade, decoy grenade, experimental gas, flashbang, smoke grenade, snapshot, and stim shot. And only available through a customizable loadout: neurogas mine, prox alarm, shock charge, and spy camera. So satchels have been updated. We're returning to the, which we'll talk about that here shortly. We're returning to the classic armor satchel, and the munition satchel looks like will only be available via the Bandolier wildcard. So that sounds like maybe they're taking that out of ground loot. Okay, so maximum armor plates. So they made some changes to how armor works. We talked about the price of armor boxes in the buy station, and they're more than munition boxes. They're trying to put a premium on your life and on armor. So you're going to have to play more carefully and more thoughtfully. I kind of like that idea when it comes to battle royale, but maximum armor plates, default maximum capacity reduced from 6 down to 5 to match the classic experience. And with an armor satchel, it increases plate capacity by an additional 3 plates, totaling 8 armor plates when equipped, down from the previous 6 to also match the classic experience. So no longer can you carry 6 and then 12 with the satchel. It'll be 5 and then 8. Armor drops. Eliminated players will consistently drop at least 1 armor plate in Battle Royale and Resurgence. This does not apply to bots in Boot Camp or Battle Royale Casual. Armor is your first line of defense and gauges how freely you'll take engagements. Recently, armor supplies have been so plentiful that enemies are able to reinforce armor several times in the middle of a fight, and the notion of downtime or the need to resupply has been lost. This massively affects the pace of the game and also changes how you'll rotate to the next safe zone. To maintain balanced gameplay, armor has become less abundant, ensuring players experience meaningful downtime and strategic decisions between engagements. This returns the gameplay feel to a more classic experience, emphasizing the value of armor resupply. I don't know how this is going to go over with the community. We've had a few updates over the last couple years, which were they done purposely to test some things? I mean, we really would never know, but you guys can probably remember some times when armor was very scarce. We couldn't find plates on the map anywhere. You couldn't find armor boxes. Then they have ran a complete abundance. You find an armor box in almost every crate, every room you walk into, there's one. You can carry 6 to 12 plates. So people, like, armor became an afterthought. You didn't even care about having plates. You never had to ask your teammate for plates really ever. And so this forces you in a gunfight to, maybe have to try to back off and retreat in a fight because your whole team is low on armor. So it's going to change engagements. I just don't know how people are going to feel about this overall, because people were not happy, me included, when you couldn't find armor. I'm not saying I need a plate box off of every person that I kill or out of every box I open, but some sort of middle ground. Gulag armor removed in unranked. In unranked battle royale modes, the Gulag now features health-only combat, placing greater emphasis on precision and tactical movement, reminiscent of the classic Gulag experience. Armor plate color improvements. The armor plate color has received an improvement where the color hue will be darker if the player doesn't have full plates. The color will remain the familiar bright color hue when the players are full. This will better indicate the players when they have almost full plates. So trying to change a visual indicator for someone who maybe didn't notice that they did not fully plate up yet. New, we talked about this before. Your field upgrade you have available to you will be available in the team widget so that you can see your teammate maybe carrying an ammo box or a plate box or whatever they might have available to them that maybe they don't know or not think about. So just more in-your-face knowledge. I like that. The following is an outline of the full arsenal of field upgrades in a match of Battle Royale on Verdansk. So we will have armor box, deployable cover, heartbeat sensor, munitions box, recon drone, trophy system, and a utility box available via the Battle Ready wildcard. So that will only be available with a customizable loadout. We will not have deployable buy stations, portable decontamination stations, portable radars. I think that's a win. Those things are way too abundant. Portable redeploy drones, redeploy drone beacons, reinforcement flares, scrambler, and warcry. Those will not be in the loot pool. So the heartbeat sensor battery life has been increased from 60 to 120 seconds. We can't return home properly without welcoming back the heartbeat sensor. While not infinite like its great predecessor, we understand that a minute of battery time is simply not enough to utilize effectively. Reclaimable field upgrade icon. An interactable icon, white dot, now appears on reclaimable field upgrades to better highlight that they can be re-equipped. Kill streaks will have available to us an advanced UAV, available via activating 3 consecutive UAVs, cluster strike, precision airstrike, supply UAV, available via the Battle Ready wildcard, and a UAV. Disabled kill streaks on launch will be the Bunker Buster, the Care Package, the Counter UAV, Foresight, Napalm Strike, SAM Turret, and Sentry Turret. This is a change that also has people in an uproar. I like this change. I'm a fan of this. Precision Airstrike Indicator. To return to the classic feeling of Verdansk, the Precision Airstrike mini-map notification that was added last year has been removed. We've removed the Precision Airstrike's approximate path indicator on the mini-map in order to return back to how it worked in 2020, where part of its purpose was to surprise your enemies. We will monitor feedback, data, and sentiment on this as we look to the weeks ahead. So basically the path indicator on the map that showed you where the airstrike was coming in at, they're doing away with that, so that you'll still get the notification that an airstrike is incoming, but now you can't just move over 6 inches and you're okay. You have to look for cover, get off the roof, move inside, do something to try to escape. I like that. I think that was it was too much information for the airstrike. It made them pretty much useless. Crowded airspace notification. The airspace too crowded message will now appear when a player attempts to pick up or aim down sights with a kill streak in an area where too many aerial kill streaks are currently active. This removes uncertainty about kill streak usability upon looting. We will see about that. Lootable perks have been removed from Battle Royale as we return to the classic feeling of Verdansk. They may return in a future update depending on feedback. I know they're trying to return to OG Verdansk as closely as they can. I thought lootable perks were a good addition to the game. Hopefully that does come back, especially when you're trying to regain late. Even having the weakest perk is better than no perks when you come back from a buyback late in the game with nothing and can't get a loadout. So here's the big changes that everyone's been looking forward to hearing about. The weapons changes going into Verdansk. Reflecting on our 5th anniversary, it's important to acknowledge our journey and current state, including in regards to combat. This milestone presents an opportunity to celebrate our successes and critically assess our shortcomings. The game has continuously evolved through the addition of new features, systematic enhancements, economic adjustments, and philosophical shifts in balancing. These improvements help us better understand what is effective and where further refinements are needed. Call of Duty Warzone was designed to deliver the essence of a Call of Duty Battle Royale, combining exceptional, precise gunplay with strategic and intense limited life scenario. While this core principle remains intact, certain distractions have at times impacted the intended pacing and intensity of gameplay. Building upon recent adjustments, such as the reduction of armor reserves to improve economic pacing, we're introducing substantial buffs to weapon damage. Initially, these enhancements will focus on the Black Ops 6 catalog and subsequently extending to legacy weapons. Our goal with these changes is to increase the lethality of every encounter, reinvigorate overlooked weapons classes, and encourage players to adopt a more thoughtful and deliberate strategy and preparation for engagements. All that being said is they're making TTK even faster, and I honestly believe that this is to benefit the casual player. And that's what this move is for. I don't know if I'm for or against this at this point. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see how the weapons balancing from class to class goes. But faster TTK is always better for the casual player. So that's what this move is for. I can tell you that right now. So classic weapons returning. We talked about the Kilo 141, which will be available tomorrow if you log in during the free play Black Ops 6 event. The AMAX is returning. The HDR. Okay, anti-material bolt-action sniper rifle chambered in 12.7 by 108 millimeter ammunition. Bullets have a lower muzzle velocity but remain devastating even at very long ranges. This weapon is able to one-shot headshot enemy players from any distance. Available via the Battle Pass, page 3, HVT tier reward, page 11, Battle Pass blueprint. The HDR is a one-shot sniper at any distance. We will see how that will play out. Bullet velocities are crap in the game in general, compared to the classic Warzone. So we will see how that plays out. But we do have another sniper that one-shots at any distance. Cali sticks are back. 4-hit kill. This was changed. It did say a 2-hit kill previously, I believe, or they talked about it being a 2-hit kill, and I don't know why they changed it to 4-hit. Was that a misprint, or people were not really excited about that? So even though the Cali sticks are coming back, not be a riot shield on their back. So, okay, so new conversion kits. We are getting a conversion kit for the SWAT 556 to bring in the Growl. We'll see how that plays. The conversion kits usually limit the attachments you can put on them. I don't know. We'll see. The Monolithic Suppressor is back. Monolithic core provides superior sound suppression and increased range. Moderate weight increased effects agility. The ideal attachment for extending your damage range on big maps like Verdansk while retaining the concealment provided by a suppressor. Available via the Battle Pass page 7 reward. Default loadouts. Okay, this is huge for returning players who have not played Warzone for some for many years. There will be default loadouts available via loadout crates during a match that have been updated with more competitive options. This season, we've updated the default loadouts with a new selection of weapons and equipment. Our goal is to provide viable options that cater to both new and returning players. To ensure these loadouts remain competitive, we are committed to making frequent adjustments. So basically, it's probably going to be the new guns for the season. They're going to have fully kitted, leveled up guns and equipment available for new and returning players to get from a loadout drop. So no more of your buddy who doesn't play but once a month and hasn't leveled up since October and he has nothing unlocked or really built. He can now access a meta loadout essentially just by default. So I think that's a good change, a needed change for a long time in the game. Default Dan has a better chance now. All right, so here are weapon adjustments to all the classes. I will note missing here, and I don't believe it's in the marksman rifle section, are sniper changes. So we will see. We do have the HDR though. So all right, so getting into the weapon adjustments, assault rifles. Okay, so they basically for all of these, and we'll go through them, but they've nerfed ranges but buffed damage values for all the assault rifles. The min, max, and medium damage was raised on the AK-74, but ranges were adjusted. The headshot multiplier was increased from 1.07 to 1.2. Lower torso multiplier increased, leg multiplier increased, and bullet velocity was increased on the AK-74. So some damage buffs there. Again, the ranges were dropped. The aims, 85, very popular rifle right now. Damage values were increased, except at the maximum distance. That value was lowered slightly, but ranges were decreased, 10 meters at the longest range. So, but the headshot multiplier was increased from 1.1 to 1.2. Leg multiplier and leg multiplier were increased, but bullet velocity was decreased slightly on this weapon. AS Val, damage values up, ranges down. Headshot multiplier increased, lower torso multiplier decreased, leg multipliers decreased, bullet velocity increased, aim down sight movement speed increased, so it's faster ADS, movement speed increased, faster movement speeds. The CHF barrel vertical recoil penalty reduced from 50 to 30%. So the AS Val is going to be a very viable sniper support weapon, I think. I already liked it as a sniper support weapon. It is much better now. The Cypher, the ultimate BA dominating the game right now, got a damage increase. Ranges were adjusted, and the lower torso and leg multipliers were slightly decreased. But this gun's going to kill even faster now. Same with the GPR. A good rifle right now. Damage is increased, range is decreased. Headshot multiplier was increased, lower torso was decreased, but reduced visual recoil. So the GPR will be in contention. The Krig gets a slight damage increase in the close distance, but ranges were adjusted overall. Headshot multiplier increased, upper torso and arm multipliers from 1 to 1.05, so slightly increased. Bullet velocity was increased very slightly on the Krig C. I don't know what these slight increases in bullet velocity are. You're not going to be able to tell the difference between 1 and 1.05. You're not. The Model L damage was increased in the close range. The close range was lowered. The maximum range was lowered. Medium range was not touched. That's a new range for this. It says it's been added. So headshot multiplier increased. Lower torso multiplier decreased. Leg multipliers decreased. So the Model L is still a pretty good rifle. Might be more balanced. The XM4, they're trying to take it off the map still. Damage was increased in the medium and short distance. Ranges were lowered, okay? But the headshot multiplier was increased. The lower torso multiplier decreased. Bullet velocity was decreased again on the XM4. The 100-round mag size was decreased to 80. That should have been done months ago. 3-round burst mod. Burst fire delay reduced from 160 to 140. I don't know who's using that. And on the Goblin, aim down sight speed was improved by 10 milliseconds. Still a very strong, really kind of a marksman rifle, but it is what it is. All right, submachine guns, a lot of the same. Damage values were increased. Ranges lowered on the C9. Already probably the best SMG in the game, in my opinion. Lower torso and leg multipliers were decreased, but the headshot multiplier was increased. So they're trying to reward headshot accuracy more. The Jackal in the medium and close range got range and damage buffs. to bring it more into contention. There is no medium damage range 2 any longer, and this long range damage was raised, although the overall long range was lowered. Headshot multiplier increased, lower torso and leg multipliers decreased, increased recoil strength and deviation. The vertical foregrip recoil improvement was reduced, and the horizontal recoil improvement reduced on the Ranger foregrip. Compact 92, damages increased, and the distances were adjusted at the medium and minimum damage range. Looks like nerfed there. Torso, upper torso, lower torso, and leg multipliers all decreased. 3-round burst mode, reduced view kick strength and deviation, reduced gun kick strength. The KSV damage increased at the close and medium range. Ranges were lowered. The PP919, the damage ranges were increased on this. Ranges were lowered. The headshot multiplier was increased. Lower torso multiplier decreased, and leg multipliers were increased. The Papoosh, the other PP, the close damage was increased, long range damage was increased, and the ranges were lowered. The SOG gets buffs all across the board. This gun really was pretty decent, and now it's probably going to be a very viable SMG as a secondary as well. I can see this thing moving into the top 3 conversation, if not top 2. Headshot multiplier was increased, and the leg multipliers decreased. The Tonto, man, this gun would be good if it didn't suck. Damages were increased, ranges were lowered. Headshot multiplier increased, lower torso multiplier increased, arm multipliers decreased. Binary trigger, headshot damage scaling increased, vertical recoil improvement scaling, horizontal recoil improvement increased. I have not tried the binary trigger on that weapon, but I don't know. The Tonto doesn't impress me. Shotguns, damage, range buffs to the ASG, which reduced view kick strength. The ASG's trash, so it doesn't really matter. The Maelstrom as well. Who cares? Don't really care about this. But the ranges were adjusted to the medium and close range to make them a little bit to have more range in the up close combat. Reduced view kick strength. Slugs reduced screen shake while firing. The CHF barrel vertical recoil penalty was reduced. The horizontal recoil penalty was reduced. The Marine SP ranges were increased at all ranges. So damage was increased in the second medium range. So the Marine SP might be a viable fun shotgun, but depends on fire rate and handability. Okay, so the FRNG 82. Pretty sure that's the Fang. All right, the Fang got buffs across the board for damage and ranges. Multiplier, headshot multiplier increase, leg multiplier increase, bullet velocity increase. The Fang could be a contender. LMGs, damage increases, maximum range buff, headshot multiplier increased, lower torso and leg multipliers decreased. The PU-21 damage ranges lowered at the medium and long, but the short range was increased. Damage values were increased. Headshot multiplier decreased, upper torso multiplier increased, lower torso and leg multipliers increased, bullet velocity increased by 40 milliseconds. The XMG, close range damage raised, close range lowered, long range damage lowered, but the range was extended. Headshot multiplier increased from 1.07 to 1.3, lower torso and leg multipliers increased, bullet velocity increased by 20 milliseconds. Marksman rifles, the AEK, damage values were increased. Headshot multiplier was increased. The full auto attachment, which might make this gun usable and viable. Maximum damage was increased, 26 to 28. Maximum damage range was decreased. Minimum damage range decreased. Minimum damage decreased from 22 to 21. Minimum damage range decreased. Headshot multiplier increased. Lower torso and legs multiplier increased. Slightly reduced view kick strength. The DM10, the minimum damage range was increased as well as the range, but the long range was lowered and the long range was increased. Our multipliers increased, leg multipliers increased, received flinch reduced by 20%. CHF barrel vertical recoil penalty increased, and horizontal recoil and penalty increased. Okay, so the TR2 damages increased at the all levels, but ranges were lowered. Now uses AR and LMG ammo instead of DMR sniper ammo. That's huge for this weapon. Huge. Headshot multiplier increased. Upper torso and arms multiplier increased. Received flinch reduced by 40%. That's also great. The Sarkov, the T-Sark 7.62. Damage increased. The maximum damage was lowered. The ranges were increased. Lower torso multiplier decreased. Leg multipliers increased. And the Car 98K lower torso and upper arm multipliers increased. Leg multipliers increased. So the Car 98K gets a slight buff and was already a top marksman rifle. So that with the HDR may be enough to bring the sniper game back into Warzone, man. I'm excited about it. All right, pistol adjustments real quick. Damage is lowered on the 9mm PM, and range is increased. This is now our default infill weapon. The Grakova got buffs all across the board. That is a great pistol. That's probably be a great secondary loadout weapon. The GS45 was kind of garbage. They lowered the damage on it. Ranges were increased. And the Strider 2.2 damage was lowered. Ranges increased. They all got headshot multiplier increases. And it looks like lower limbs and torso decreases. And launchers got some changes here. The Sigma 2B damage increase, range increase on the outer explosion, damage increase on the inner explosion, range increase on the outer explosion. The Joker range was adjusted at the inner and middle explosion. The Pila range was adjusted, raised at the inner and middle, decreased in the outer explosion, but damage amount was increased significantly on the middle explosion and significantly on the outer explosion. And the classic RPG range was increased at the inner and middle explosion, lowered on the outer explosion, and damage amounts were significantly increased. And the Strela buffs all across the board to damages and ranges. And the Siren 9mm, the one special secondary we have, damage was increased. The maximum range was lowered, and the lower torso and leg multipliers were lowered. All right, so vehicles, we have return of the classic heli, the classic Bertha cargo truck, the Polaris ATV, the LTV, and the ATV. With the return of Verdansk, we're looking to capture the original essence of vehicles in Warzone in collaboration with our friends at Treyarch. We've tuned movement, health, damage resistance, and equipment interactions to feel much closer to the original vision. We know that nobody wants paper-thin vehicles, and we also know that vehicles are more fun when they can efficiently get you from point A to B. Traversal shouldn't feel restricted to roads alone. That said, there will be appropriate counters to vehicles reminiscent of the past. The chart below serves as a high-level view of equipment lethality against vehicles. With greater vehicle responsiveness comes the need for more powerful and more memorable moment-inducing equipment encounters. So, if you guys want to take a look at that, it's right there. You can screenshot it or, check it out in the blog yourself. Pinging near vehicles. Made improvements to the accuracy of pings to loot near a vehicle to avoid the ping snap to vehicles. There's so much information in this update. It's a lot. Okay. So, changes and improvements to UI. The classic Warzone victory banner returns. The classic minimap returns. I'm not going to read all this. Ping visuals, everything has been returned to look like the OG Verdansk. New, however, is the weapon inspect edition, where you can see the attachments on a weapon. So maybe you pick up someone's gun. Hey, what are they rocking on here? This thing feels good. We talked about that previously. We also talked about this previously. The addition in the kill feed, the kill cam. It's going to show you if you were live pinged, if you were on radar because you were firing an unsuppressed weapon, if you were on UAV. We talked about that in a previous video. Custom loadouts, you prioritize your favorite loadout now in the gunsmith, and it should ping to the top. Mission items in the squad widget. New slots have been added. The squad widget show each squad member's most recent mission item icon for improved coordination. The death skull icon has increased to make it easier for players to locate their previous death location based on feedback that it was difficult to spot, because it was. Navigation pings updated to provide clearer, more intuitive iconography with a design that may feel familiar to veteran players. Probably the classic pings. Player icons. Minimap and TAC map player icons have been enhanced to visually differentiate between talking, firing a weapon, staying quiet, ghost perk on and off. Leaving match confirmation. Players attempting to leave a match while a teammate is still alive will now receive a confirmation prompt to prevent accidental exits. Ping distance text on the map. Added dark backings to the pings on map to improve readability of the distance of the text on the map. And then they have custom ping durations now in the settings. You'll be able to change that. The new setting lets players decide how long pings last on their screen. Select between off, infinite, or on, which will let players pick the duration between 1 and 20 seconds. Tap max centering options. New setting, Map Assist, provides a few different options to enable players to have more agency over their experience. Auto zoom and center, auto center, zoom and center once, or off. Excited to provide more options to players to adjust the map to their preference. We'll continue to monitor feedback about this improvement as players get to experiment with this. You can take a look at the details here on this. I'm going to move through this, but I'm going to look at this and some of the setting changes they've had and maybe do a video on that because there's a lot of new things coming. So, okay, so audio. Classic audio is back. Cinematics, infill, gulag, and exfil. The classics. Music is classic. The announcer is re-recorded by original announcer Julian Stone from the original 2020 Warzone. Hit markers, including armor and armor breaks, death's door, footstep recordings, loot chests, buy stations, contracts, UI sounds. All the classic Warzone sounds are back. I like that. Occlusion and reverb. Made adjustments, transition from older raycasted occlusion system to Microsoft Triton Acoustics Audio middleware, providing realistic audio occlusion, obstruction, and reverberation. Improved sound behavior around corners and surfaces. Custom tuned data specifically optimized for Call of Duty Warzone. Huge changes, it sounds like, to sound. So we will see if it's better, hopefully. They're communicating a lot more about it than made adjustments to a few things. You know, there's more info here, so it's what everyone asked for. Sound modifiers adopted a new procedural audio technology developed by Treyarch that dynamically adjusts sound based on gameplay elements, entity speed, angle, and elevation. Footsteps and ladders. Unique tuning for Call of Duty Warzone footsteps separate from premium titles, introduced with MW3. Friendly teammates' footsteps reduced when positioned behind the player. Footstep loudness dynamically scales with entity speed. Footstep pitch changes based on the player elevation above or below. Ladder sounds amplified and adjusted based on player movement speed. Boosted audio cues for jumping, landing, distinctive ceiling footsteps to clearly indicate players running overhead. Cloth, gear, and mantling. Cloth and gear sounds are now distinctively tuned for Call of Duty Warzone, separate from premium titles. Increased clarity and volume of mantling and melee sounds, differentiating friendly and enemy movements. Enhanced mantling audio to resemble footsteps for greater situational awareness. Loot supply boxes. The audio pitch now dynamically adjusts based on vertical elevation, providing a clearer vertical position feedback. There are a ton of bug fixes here down at the bottom. We're not going to run through all these. It sounds like a lot of things have been attempted to tackle with this update. But that's all the patch notes for Verdansk. So I'm excited. We have 2 days until Verdansk drops. So again, we will be live Thursday, 24 hours, starting at 8 a.m. Eastern, digging into Verdansk, celebrating our 2-year anniversary on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. If you're still with me at this point, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, come back for more as we get into Season 3 with Verdansk. Thank you so much. Have a great day.